Hey yo, welcome back to another video. This is the last video that I will be making for, not for school, but for this particular class. And today, we have an article titled, "We are more honest with our phones than our doctors." This is a New York Times article written by Jenna Wortham, and she basically wrote about, women and, how they're more honest with their phones and, the application on their phones when it comes to their health. And more specifically, they were doing studies about periods and how these women track their periods and how they were more honest with their phones and the application compared to how they are with the doctors. And this is not, my last two videos, they were respond video to the article that I read. This is not so much a respond, but more of a reaction. Obviously, I'm not a woman. I don't have periods. Man, somebody's gonna take that out of context. So I'm not like super familiar with this whole thing, But upon reading this little piece right here, it's interesting. There's a couple things that she brought up that I find very interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and just read a couple of paragraphs right here, and some of the stuff that they did that I thought was fascinating. So here we go. The researchers found the data collected via Clue, the app that they were using, to be more detailed and more accurate. They hope their young participants will be more comfortable telling a faceless app about personal health matters, a slump of depression, gross blood clot, irritated bowels, than telling a doctor. Now, I've never really experienced anything like this, but I've been around. I played sport. I got injuries, right? I've been sick before. I don't really feel like I was embarrassed. That's not a very good word. I'm not embarrassed, but I didn't feel uncomfortable, right? I didn't feel uncomfortable telling another person about my problems. You feel me? I've never really been mentally sick. I don't think. I'm not super familiar with that, but I've been sick before. Physically, I've been sick. I've been injured. And I didn't have an app on my phone, to track it. I guess, I would go to the doctor and they ask me a question and I just answer them. But then again, having a sprained ankle is a very different thing from having depression. But it just my take on it, just my 2 cents on it. And it's not just teenagers. Most of us are willing to be more honest with our phones than with professionals, or even our spouse and partners. We look up weird symptoms and humiliating questions on Google with the same ease that we search for the name of a vaguely familiar character actor. I can relate to this a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I can relate to this passage a little bit, because there are certain things, when you hit a certain age and certain things started happening to you, physically and mentally, and you don't want to talk about it with your family, or with your spouse, with your wife or husband and whatnot. You don't want to talk about it with another person, because to you it is humiliating, it is embarrassing. But here's my concern, though. Here's my concern, right? Because you are, embarrassed to talk about it with a real person, you go on Google and you basically, you give out information to strangers, kind of, because Google and the internet, they collect data. They collect they collect information about people, and they use those information. They use those data, to curate your internet search to to make sure that you have what you're looking for. Create this little bubble that you're in, right? So by asking Google or by asking the internet a question that you are too embarrassed to ask, let's say your parents, a risk, giving away your information to who knows how many people, how many strangers, Sure, it could feels like, it is less embarrassing. But you got to keep in mind that the internet is a very dangerous place, right? So I guess just be careful, what information about yourself you're willing to give out. Here's one quote that I take great interest in, right? Because it made me think. And it goes like this. For many of us, our smartphones have become extensions of our brains. We outsource essential cognitive functions like memory to them, which means they soak up much more information than we realize. When we hand over this information willingly, the effect is even greater. Exactly what I've been saying. The more data, right? The more data these apps collected, the more they get to know you, and the more they use it against you. In a way, when you think about it, the reason why Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, those things, they're so big and so successful, is because the users, they give away everything, right? Their age, where they live, what they do for a living, right? Relationship status. I gotta say, I'm guilty. I am guilty. The more information about yourself that you give away, the more enjoyable the experience becomes. If I let Facebook know where I live, right, I would then get suggestions, friends or people I might be interested in, relationship-wise, in that same, area. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I am a tech person. I love technologies. I love, to see where, we're going to go from here. And I love seeing, the advancement of technologies. But we got to be careful, especially when it comes to our secrets and our information, our data. Talking to a real person about something could be a little bit embarrassing, a little bit humiliating, a little bit uncomfortable. But just be careful. That's all I'm saying. So that's just my 2 cents on this article. I think it's an interesting read, and I will have a link to this article in my description box if you guys want to go ahead and check it out. And if you did check it out, let me know in the comment section how you feel about it. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And if you enjoy this video, hit the like button and subscribe. You want to see more videos like this? And with that being said, I will see you soon.